Good afternoon, everyone out there on YouTube. My name is Jared, and this is my channel, Mazda B3K. This is going to be a 5-minute fix video where we're going to be swapping out the steering wheel cruise control buttons on my 2001 Ford F250. Without further ado, let's get started. Very first thing we need to do is we have to disconnect the battery and then walk away for at least half an hour. Why? Because we're going to need to remove the airbag from the steering wheel in order to get these controls out, and we want to make sure that the airbag is 100% electrically dead. So, disconnect battery, go have a coffee, contemplate the universe, then come back for the rest of the video. So your steering wheel is going to have two of these plastic covers, and we need to get them off. Going to use a pick. It's going to take both hands, but we can gently wiggle this out without scratching up the cover. Once we get those off, we'll take a look at what bolt's going to be required, and then we'll get those out. Alright, a little bit tricky to see right now. See if I can get the light up on it. There we go. I think that's an 8mm. We're going to need that. And what this is doing, this is actually holding the airbag in place. So we'll take these out, and then we should be able to remove the airbag. Alright, so at this point you should be able to take your fingers and carefully pull the airbag back so you can look back here, and there's going to be a red connector that you're going to need to, if I can get this to lift out. Red connector, you got to get the tab over the bump there, and once you get that, there's a black connector down there you also have to disconnect. Once you do that, the airbag itself is disconnected and you can set it aside, and then we can actually get to our cruise control steering wheel buttons. So for our black connector, you're going to find it plugged in here like this. You're going to have to pop it out, flip it over, because that's the actual tab that you need to push down to disconnect it. It's not this metal guy here. That's a red herring. So do that. Take this out. See if I can get it with my thumb. Nope, need two hands. And then we can get to the controls. If we take a look, this is the part of the pigtail for the airbag. This is the other part of the pigtail for the airbag. There's a separate black connector that plugs in here, and that's for our cruise control buttons. And then after that, you're going to have to clip these wires, the zip ties there. And remember where they were, because you're going to have to get this all set up. I suspect they made it this neat because the airbag is sitting in front of it, and they want to make sure there's no interference. But clip those, remove this black connector here. It looks like it's got a tab right here that you got to manipulate. And then the buttons themselves just kind of pop out. I'll show you that in a minute. Alright, so you see this long black tab right there? Take your pick, push that down. There's a hook at the end. Get the hook clear. And then the top of this should just pop out, and then you can lift the bottom up and out. Alright, so make sure you look at your replacement, which is here. Make sure your connectors are the same, and they are. So we're going to go ahead and get this guy in. I did note that it does have a separate part number on the button controls right there than what came out. So that tells me either this is going to work, or it's not going to work, or it's going to work and the backlight button, the backlight on it is either going to be green or not be there, or I think some of them were red. So we're going to find out. No way to really find out until I get everything back together and try. So for reinstallation, pop your buttons back in, reconnect everything, make sure you redo your zip ties. I left mine there so I knew where to do zip ties. Then I'll clean these out, put the airbag back in, put the bolts back in, put your battery back in, and we'll test. Alright, as you can see, got the buttons back in, and I've gotten all my zip ties back on. I went with black. And I think there's one more that goes right there based on how those wires curl. But after that, we're going to go ahead and redo the airbag connections and get the airbag back in. Okay, here we go. So we have the horn and the airbag back on. Everything's screwed in. Put my caps back on. So now I'm going to energize the battery. I would make sure that nobody is here in the driver's seat when you do that, just in case something crazy happens and your airbag goes. It should not. However, you still don't want anybody here just in case, because when they blow quick, and I don't want anyone getting hurt after watching one of my videos. So far, no boom. Right now I'm kind of letting it pass a smell test. Gonna give it a good 5-10 minutes. Make sure something doesn't just go poof. I don't think it will at this point. But I also don't want to be over there if I'm wrong. So I'm gonna let that sit, and then we can do a test drive. See if these buttons work. And they fix the original issue, which was the on-off button. That whole set was really soft and sticky. So initially my cruise control would not work because it would not turn on. And then after I thoroughly cleaned the button the best I could, it works now, but it's still occasionally sticky, particularly on cold mornings. So hopefully this resolves that issue. Alrighty, just took her for a quick drive, and the cruise controls buttons work. And they are backlit, and they're backlit green, which matches the rest of the color scheme in the vehicle. So I will consider this a successful repair. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for this 5-minute fix. We successfully swapped out the cruise control buttons on the steering wheel of my 2001 Ford F250 Miss Mildew. So if you really enjoyed this video, if you learned something, if you think it's worthy to be around on YouTube, please hit thumbs up, the like button. Please also share and subscribe. That helps the channel to grow. Please also leave comments. I like to read them. I like to reply to them. And I do like to learn from them. And remember, I make mistakes so you don't have to. Catch you guys later.